What's up, everybody? It's D to the J with a rollaway. It's Wednesday, it's 2 o'clock, and it's that time again. The Sports Minion Radio Show. Man, I'm glad to be back with you guys. I've been gone for 2 weeks, and I do apologize, but let me tell you, we have got an action-packed show today. Man, I may need 2 hours. I was just talking with Miss Winnie, and I got to tell you, winning with Winnie ain't no joke, y'all. She knows her stuff. And I got to take a minute, because when you go through life, and as I've done this show for almost a year, well, nearly a year now, and everything that happens for a reason, and it's all about God's timing. So let's get into some great things that we've got coming up. I do want to talk about a few things here. Let me get into November 1st. And actually, before I do that, we're going to have a back-to-school drive here coming up soon. And the date will be to be determined. It is going to be a back-to-school drive for the disabled community. It's going to be at 6212 Jefferson Avenue in Newport News, Virginia. So we will announce the date on that. It is probably going to be around the Memorial Day area holiday, somewhere in there. I don't want to give an exact location or exact date, because we don't have the exact date yet, but that is coming soon. Welcome to everybody who is joining the Sports Minion Radio Show as you come in. Hey, bro, how you doing? Thanks, Curtis, for coming in with me. Ben, good to see you. We do want to mention also, I'm very excited. Grandmaster Jack Dart has a brand new studio. Jack Dart's brand new Taekwondo Champions is going to be opening on Monday the 5th. And that is going to be at 1949 Lynn Haven Parkway in the Parkway Shopping Center at the intersection of Lynn Haven and Princess Anne Road. And it's going to be, I've actually seen the tour of the studio. That's up on Facebook. You guys go in and talk to him. You're going to get a week free. Trust me, a week free with Grandmaster Jack Dart is gold. Y'all need to go in and get on this. To contact Master Dart at the studio, it's 757-671-1020. Again, that's 757-671-1020. And that is Grandmaster Jack Dart's brand new studio. I believe he said it is, I mean, I've seen it. It's beautiful. He's getting all the stuff in. They're going to open Monday, August the 5th, so be ready for that. As more join in to the Sports Minion Radio Show, thank y'all for coming in and joining me today. I have been sick, but I am on the mend right now, and I'm back in the saddle again, and I'm gonna try not to fall out. So hopefully we're gonna stay in there. Real quick, do want to mention the Tiger Martial Arts Academy does have the 6-week trial right now for $99. And that includes a free uniform. I will tell you, karate gis are very expensive, so with the free uniform and everything like that, make sure that y'all take advantage of this. For details on that, that's 5801 Portsmouth Boulevard. That is 757-488-3882. You can call Tiger Martial Arts and check that out and get set up for a one-on-one evaluation and start your trial that could possibly change your life. I know it changed mine. All right, so November 16th is the Kelly's Choice Caregivers Gala. Y'all get your formal attire and get ready to be looking good. We're going to nominate folks in the disabled community for caregiving and all the things that they do. That is November 16th, and that will be at 6801 Bridgeway Drive in Suffolk, Virginia, 23435. That's going to be from 4 to 7, possibly 8 o'clock. Look forward to doing that. I'm so excited, and I'm so excited for Miss Winnie, because she does such a wonderful job putting on these events. And again, I say that I'm hoping that all of you guys will come out that are on Let Go Radio right now, listening live. Please come out and support us. It does take a village. Miss Winnie says that all the time. That is her favorite catchphrase, and it is the God's honest truth. All right, I do want to mention, this one right here is a big one, and I've been waiting to mention this one. I got the flyer in the mail a week ago. Grandmaster Dart's Birthday Battle Martial Arts Championship, Saturday, October 19th, 2019. Atlantic Shores Christian School, 1217 Centerville Turnpike, North Chesapeake, Virginia, 23320. Black belt Grand Championship expense money. Men's Grand Championship point sparring, $200 and a trophy. Women's Grand Championship, $200 and a trophy. And weapons versus empty hand Grand Championship, $100 and a trophy. I do want to mention a couple things with this tournament. Now, registration begins at 8:30 to 10 a.m. No pre-registration. Black belt meeting is at 10 a.m. It will be, the competition will begin at 10:30. All demo teams and all demo teams need to be there for that. The competitors' fee for all divisions is $70. No checks. Bring your cash. Now, if you bring 2 non-perishable canned food items, you get a $5 discount off of the registration fee. We're doing a canned food drive with this. Make sure that you bring your canned food in there. So we want to do all that. Just one second here. All right. I'm not sure what's going on. We got some feedback ability here. Hold on just one second. Sorry, guys. Didn't mean for that to pop. There we go. Seems to be gone now, I guess. But basically, that is going to be the Grandmaster Darts birthday battle. So we want to make sure that you're there for that. And get there early because it's going to fill up fast. All right, so we've got a lot of sports to cover, and I do want to cover some top stories here. We're still getting some feedback for some reason. Give me just a moment. Got my engineer working on it to see what's going on. There we go. All right, so basically what we've got is A.J. Green for the Cincinnati Bengals has got an ankle injury. Yeah, an ankle injury. Hey there, Elizabeth, you joined in. Thank you for coming in with us. Appreciate it. An ankle injury for A.J. Green is going to sideline him for several games. They're thinking, they haven't said a definitive amount, but it's looking like 3 or 4 possibly. They went actually to clean out the ankle. They went in for an exploratory just to clean some, I believe, a couple of bone chips and get the ankle recovery done there so everything is finished. But by the time they cleaned it out, they found a little bit more extensive damage, and he's actually going to miss 3 to 4 games there. So it looks like he is going to miss just a little bit. Andrew Luck also has a calf injury, basically, that is causing some ankle pain as well. So it looks like he is going to miss the first 2 preseason games. They're going to let him rest. It doesn't look like it's going to be too bad. But we are trying to get the info on that as well. Give me just a second here. We've got a lot of feedback coming in. Hold on. All right. There's sorry about that. Had to turn down my speakers. Not sure what was going on. Still can make sure everybody can hear me here. But it looks like a lot of injuries that are happening right now are leg-related injuries. We did find out some good news. Michael Thomas for the New Orleans Saints just got a 5-year, $100 million contract. Now, I got to tell you one thing. If I had $100 million, I'd be hopping. Even though I can't hop, I'd be hopping. Trust me. I'll be hopping on both feet. I ain't going to lie. $100 million, you'll hop even though you can't. I don't care if I had no legs. I still figure out a way to hop $100 million. That man's going to be rich quick. All right, so Michael Thomas is expected to do great things, 24 years old, so we're going to see some great things from him, and they got that new deal signed. The only thing about, with football going around right now, everybody is talking about the Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott. What is going on with Ezekiel Elliott? Why is he holding out? I did read a story this morning that talked about Ezekiel Elliott and what this is about. So let me give you just a little bit here. Basically, a man is suing the Dallas Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott for allegedly covering up a 2017 car crash with the help of local police. So the star running back would not miss an upcoming playoff game in that 2017 season. In a lawsuit obtained by TMZ Sports, the plaintiff Ronnie Hill claims that the Cowboys conspired with the Frisco Police Department to cover up the severity of an accident to assure that Elliott's health would not be placed in question before their playoff game. The car crash occurred January 11th, 2017, 4 days before the Dallas divisional round matchup against the Green Bay Packers. Elliott ran for 125 yards in the 34-31 Cowboys loss. Hill, who is seeking $20 million in damages, claimed that Elliott was at fault for the crash as the Cowboys player was late for practice and barreled through a red light in his GMC Yukon. Elliott collided with a BMW causing a BMW 750, causing more than $33,000 in damages to his vehicle and requiring a tow truck to pull them apart. According to Hill's suit, if anyone had actually reported the impact of the accident and had Elliott been examined, he would have most likely been placed in concussion protocol and out for the Dallas upcoming playoff game. The suit also says Cowboys running back coach Gary Brown quickly arrived at the scene of the crash and told Hill, "We'll take care of everything." He also claims in the lawsuit, he was physically injured in the wreck. At the time, the Frisco police said the incident was a minor vehicle crash. Ezekiel Elliott believes he is above the law. Hill's lawyer, Larry Friedman, told TMZ. He doesn't follow any rules. As a citizen or a member of the community, he has a duty to obey the law and act responsible, especially when driving a motor vehicle. So let me come on here just for a minute and talk about a couple things. You have heard me say time and time again about players, whether you're an NFL player, whether you're someone that's in the NBA, NHL, wherever you are, you have to take responsibility and do what you say you're going to do. If you do the crime, you pay the time. Bottom line, it is what it is. You've got to realize that in this world, whether you're an athlete or not, nobody is above the law. And I think that players, and I'm not saying that because all this right now is still being investigated, all this is still coming out, because right now Ezekiel Elliott is under a holdout. Trent Williams is doing the same thing. Now, Trent Williams, his is a little bit different with the issue with the growth that was on his head. He didn't like the way it was handled. But when it comes down to there was no definition of how this was handled wrong. So looking at Ezekiel Elliott right now, if all of this happened the way this article came out, then Elliott's going to be in a lot of trouble. And really, I have to look at, an athlete is just that. When you strip all that down and when you look at where you are and what you're in and where everything is, you've got to see for yourself that above all, we are human beings. And when you make a mistake or you do something wrong or something goes wrong, you have to pay the time if you do the crime, the bottom line. That is something that, and going into this, I've got a CP issue that I'm going to talk about today. And the title of our show today is Do What You Say You're Going to Do. You see all of these players getting paid all of this money, which being responsible with it is one thing. But still, holding yourself accountable and being an accountable individual toward the organization that you play for is crucial, because I've said time and time again on this show, we've had people call in, we've had things come through. People have to be accountable for their actions, regardless of the organization that they play for, because they themselves are a representation of the organization they are in. And when you come off of an organization, whether you're getting DUIs, whether you're getting drug charges, whether you're in car wrecks, whether all these things are happening, you are looked on upon as a representation of that organization. And in the same situation, regardless of how much money you make, and regardless of how many things that you do, and how many accolades you have on a field, whether it's baseball, football, hockey, soccer, whatever you play, You've got to look at this and say, listen, I'm trying to figure out how to make myself an individual. Tyreek Hill especially. Now he has come out and said, look, I'm trying to improve myself every day to be a better man, a better teammate, a better father. All of this is going to play out that these people need to be reprimanded for the things they're doing wrong. And it comes down to do what you say you're going to do. If you're looking at a situation and a situation comes up to where you make a mistake, mistakes happen. Mistakes happen in the world every day. I get it. These things happen. Nobody is going to go through the world perfectly. So many people try to, but it doesn't exist. A perfect world doesn't exist. The only man that is perfect is up here in heaven looking down on us today, and that's just my belief. I'm not trying to push anything on anybody, but I am saying you have to be accountable for your own actions. And if you don't hold yourself accountable, what is your true representation of yourself? All right, we got a couple of baseball scores for you. I just want to go over real quick, jump over to the MLB right quick. Let's take a look here. Let me actually let's go to give me just a second here. The Atlanta Braves and the Washington Nationals. The Braves are 4-1 over the Nationals right now, and it looks like we're actually in the bottom of the 7th inning. So just wanted to go over that, let you know we got a couple of other scores coming in a little bit later in the show. Now, talking about some of this that's going on and talking about being accountable, I just want to go over and talk about one thing. We've also got the New York Yankees and the Diamondbacks are the Yankees are up 2-0 at the top of the 4th. And actually the 4-1 Braves is the end of the 7th, so they're going into the 8th inning now. Now, this story actually is a WWE story that came out on Jimmy Uso, and I do want to talk about this, and I'm going to read just a little bit of this as we go through here. WWE superstar Jimmy Uso has been arrested yet again in an alcohol-related charge, this time driving under the influence as the 6-time WWE Tag Team Champion was booked Thursday morning in Pensacola, Florida. Per TMZ, Uso, who declined a field sobriety test, was cited for speeding and driving erratically, swerving left and right. Uso's vehicle was said to have reeked of alcohol after he was pulled over. This marks Jimmy Uso's 3rd DUI charge following his arrest in 2011 and 2013. Now, I'm going to talk about something, and this is where I'm going to mention this because you have to have self-control when you're dealing with alcohol. If you cannot, you need to get help, and a lot of people cannot see that. Alcoholism is a disease. It is destructive, and it hurts people and people around the people that is affected by it. So it's not just something that can be controlled or can be stopped. If it's serious enough and if there are issues there needs to be plans put in place, whether it's AA, Alcoholic Anonymous, whether it's interventions. If you got to get all the alcohol out of the house, if the WWE needs to put them in rehab, that needs to be taken. Now, the WWE is trying to distance themselves and saying that Jimmy Uso is responsible for his own actions. I do believe that. I do believe, again, that you are responsible for your own actions, but in the same time, if there is something more than just the alcohol-related charges, there needs something that is showing and saying, look, we're going to try this, we're going to put you in rehab. If not, they need to let him go, because regardless of how good an athlete is, regardless of how good someone does, regardless of the accolades that they made in a ring or a field, they have to be responsible for their own actions. Now, I'm kind of going to break away from this a little bit because I got an email. Actually, I got an email last week while I was sick from Michael Boyd, and he's actually from Virginia Beach, Virginia. And he sent me this email, and it's rather long, but I do want to read just a little bit. He says, "Hi, Sports Minion. My name is Michael." He said, "I am 30 years old." He said, "I have had cerebral palsy my entire life. I have spastic CP. He said, I do not drive. I find it very difficult to trust people. The reason that I find it difficult to trust people is people always are trying to take advantage of me. People tell me they're going to do something and they don't do it. Why is this? Do you have this problem? Is it because of my CP? Do they not trust me? Am I not getting the word out correctly? Please help. I'm trying to figure out what to do to find out how to put trust in people and to learn to trust people, because I don't want to say that everybody's the same. I want to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I want to make sure that people realize that I am a kind person, but if you take advantage of me, I'm going to roll you over. I love this, and I'm going to say a couple of things, and I will bring Miss Winnie in on this as well. You got to be careful with people, because I've done it too. I fall for people fast, and I trust people. Sometimes I trust them entirely too much, but to be honest, I believe that you have to trust people to get along in this world. There are going to be people that take advantage of you. There are going to be those people that tell you they're going to do things that don't do them. I have gone through that, but the way to look at it, and you've got to look at it from both sides, and this is the hard part, because I had to realize it as well. A person that has a physical challenge or a disability or is differently abled or whatever you want to call it is a challenge to start with, because you have to know how to work with that person. And when it comes to driving and things like that, if you don't have a vehicle, they have to put your wheelchair in their van. They have to get you into their car. They have to buckle you in. They have to make sure that you're safe. There is a lot involved in that. And after a while, everybody is going to get tired. Everybody gets tired. It happens. It happens to the best of people. So what I try to do is I try not to depend just on one person. What you may want to do is try to get a network of people, or a village, as Miss Winnie would call it. There are, in your area, I know there are buses that run. Now, I'm not sure that the buses run, but there, contact your family members, talk to your family members, talk to your friends. And when I say friends, I'm talking about people that you trust. Now, I'm going to get into the second part of your question in just a second, but getting a network of people so that you don't have to, hey, Ronald, thanks for joining in with the Sports Minion Radio Show. I appreciate it. Getting a network of people is important, because that way, when one person can't do it, you can go down the list and you can go to the next. At one time, I had a network of about 25 people that were helping me, in addition to a bus service that ran, thank you, Elizabeth, for that ran from about 8:30 in the morning till 3:40 in the evening during the Monday through Friday hours. Now, that was back in Waynesboro. Now, here, the bus transportation is a little bit more difficult, because you have to get out at different routes to get to different areas. The buses don't just take you to a straight shot. Now, there are buses that do that, but you need to contact your local administrators to find out where those are and to get in contact with them. But finding a network of people so that you don't have to depend on one person is easier, and it kind of gives that one person that helps you a break, because everybody has a breaking point. And eventually, if you push a person too far, not saying that you would or you mean to by any way, shape, or form, if you push a person too far or too hard, it is going to affect them, and they are going to break eventually. Now, as far as trusting individuals, I said before at the beginning of reading this email, you do have to be careful of who you trust, okay? But you do have to also be honest with a person. when you're talking with them and when you're getting them ready to drive you, you have to let them know of the things that you're not able to do, because they might not know that you need help with your feet or your shoes or your footrest or things like that. There's got to be open communication, and it's hard when you trust somebody and you begin to become friends with them because they're dependable. It's hard not to depend too much and realize that that person has a life too. And because we as people with disabilities want to get things done, and we find it so few and far between that people are able to help, that when we do find somebody, it is hard. It is being a caregiver is very hard. That is very true. Now, Miss Winnie, I want to ask, because I know that you and Corey especially have, deal with Kelly all the time, that you're their primary caregivers, but, how great is a program, like the day support, to give you not necessarily that break, but yeah, I guess kind of in a way to get a little bit of relief, because it is tough to do it 24/7, 365 days a year. We're gonna wait for Miss Winnie to get in. I actually was asking that. I don't know if she's actually in right now. I know she's with us, but I'm trying to get her in on that. But basically, as we said, being a caregiver is hard. And it is tough. But to go through it, caregivers are very special people. And Miss Winnie, I'll ask again. How great is it to have that day support, to be able to get that break, or to have that community that is that community there to help. How do you find the people to help? What is your opinion on trusting people and finding people to help? All right. I guess for me, having dedicated parents, for starters, is number one. Being dedicated to begin with is the number one priority. No matter how many, I look at it, and so many parents have it rough being a single parent. And there are those that have those rough times when you're by yourself. But when you have the unit, the mom and the dad, to kind of get some of the point on there, it's really different. I want to go through this. It's hard for one person to do everything. Especially if they're struggling, to try to find that community. As far, with when you only have, a few people, again, the burden is there, but don't think of it as a burden. There just needs to, be, more of that. And I've got Miss Winnie with me, so I'll want to run that question to her again. We're talking about, Michael from Virginia Beach had emailed me, and he basically said, how do I find the help, with driving and getting rides and things like that, and how do you learn to trust people? Well, and I was asking you, Miss Winnie, for the care with Kelly is tough because it is a 24-hour-a-day thing. How grateful are you to have the day support there, the community there to not necessarily get that break, but I mean, where do you find comfort in the people that you trust to help care for Kelly? Let me see if she may be. All right. I'm sorry, Miss Winnie. I was asking as far as when when you basically are caring for Kelly, I know it's a 24-hour job. I know everything that that you're doing is coming through, you and Corey both. How grateful are you to have, whether it's, the day support or something like that, to go through and have that community, not necessarily to get that break, as far as to trust people to care for Kelly. How do you find the right people? For some reason, I can't hear Miss Winnie here. She's typing to me. Give me just a second. I can't hear you, Miss Winnie. We're trying to get Miss Winnie on, guys. Give me a second. You there with me, Miss Winnie?
Can you hear me?
There we go. I got you now. I got you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I got you.
Can you hear me now?
Uh-huh.
You can hear me?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I want to say that, I want to say that it's really hard to trust people. Okay, so it's hard to trust people. It honestly is, when you're dealing with that community. But however, you got to put your trust somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You got to put your trust somewhere, so you will be able to have that time for yourself, because you don't want the caregiver burnout, right?
Right. That's what I was talking about.
For yourself, you have to trust somebody and put your individual in somebody's hands. Like, for instance, today she started the transportation. Okay,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It totally caught me off guard, and it threw me for a loop. I was prepared to put Kelly in the truck to take her to day support, and right as we was doing that, this lady pulled up behind us, and I'm like, okay, where you come from? But you have to trust somebody. You have to give it a chance.
Right.
You have to do that. It could be as hard, like even putting an infant in someone's hands, putting a child that don't have a disability in someone's hands. You have to trust someone, but you have to pay attention too, because as your individual come home, as patterns change, you have to pay attention, because they may be trying to tell you something. So you have to listen. And if you find a problem, or if you find an issue, it to be an issue, then you have to ask questions. You have to go to the source, and you have to ask questions. You have to let them know what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're listening to, in order for you to have that time for yourself as a caregiver.
One of the things that Michael actually wrote in this email, and I read this. I did not read this aloud, but it's in the bottom paragraph here. He said, I've only got a few people to help me, and I find that they get tired easily. I don't want to burn them out, but it's so hard to find other people that are dependable. How would you suggest to find those other people, and what do you look for in an actual dependable person when it comes to caring for someone with disabilities?
Wow. I hear that a lot, DJ, to find that care.
Mm-hmm.
I hear it a lot from so many people here, local people I've met, that's not here. Great question. Say that last part one more time, because that's a great question.
He said, I find that, I only have about 3 people to help me, and I find that they get tired rather easily, but I don't want to burn them out. How do you find the network of people to help you, and what kind of things do you look for in that network of people when it comes to caring for someone with a disability in regards to transportation or in regards to home care? For me, it was always, you have to have a face-to-face with that person. I would say, number one, and you can kind of tell if they're going to give you, the legitimate answer, because you can tell if they've done it before, or you can tell if they're trying to, fight their way through it just to get the job, to get paid, because being a caregiver is not just about getting paid to me.
Right. Right. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that's very true. Absolutely. You don't want to accept anybody in your home without talking to that person.
Mm-hmm.
If they're coming from an agency, you want to get as many questions from the agency as well about that particular person that they're trying to send out to your home. Have you had any situations happen to? And they have to be honest with you.
Right.
Have you had any situations with this person? Have there been any disputes with this person? What are personally, what is your intake on this person? I know you're sending these people out because it's your job to do so. They're looking for a job, but do you really trust this person? See, because some people won't be honest with you, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get that person in your home and you look at this person and you start asking that person questions, because you have the right to. You have the right to ask that individual that's there to care for you or potentially care for you any question you want to ask them. And pay attention. Look them in the eyes. Be straight up with them, because it's your prerogative, it's your health, it's your life that you're getting ready to put in their hands. So you want to know these things. And if you don't feel comfortable with their answers, if you don't feel comfortable with how they're sitting and watching you,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to take them. Go to the next person.
Right, right. How did you? Now you said you had struggled with the transportation for Kelly. Just because Michael asked about transportation too. What kind of, I guess, what put you at ease with it, and what did you find out about it? I mean, how did it work for her the first time?
It's the lack of dependability.
Mm-hmm.
Always late,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're picking her up or whether they're bringing her home.
Right, right.
That's not good.
And
especially if you're right now, we're 15 minutes away from 10 minutes, which we're from her day support.
Right.
No reason why, if she get out at 4:00, if she get on that bus at 4:00, she should be here by 4:15.
Right, right.
She should not be here at 5:00.
And see that, and a lot of the medical transportations, even whether it's Medicaid or whether it's Medicare, a lot of the medical transportations have that problem, and they tell you they're going to pick you up, and some of them don't even show up.
Exactly. I had that in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
In the very beginning, I had that issue.
Mm-hmm.
And no one ever came to pick Kelly up. And she was on that list. I would get calls a week later or 2 weeks later, ma'am, I'm sorry, we still don't have nobody to pick Kelly up. And I'm saying, hey, you got to be kidding me.
Mm-hmm.
So you depend on those services. If those services are available to you, you depend on those services to get you around or your individual around. Now, leading up to today, the reason I had to put my trust in it, because it took pressure off of me.
Right.
It's taking pressure off of me. It's taking from the lack of transportation, the proper lack of transportation that I don't have, that would take weight off of me, that would take a lot of pressure off of me,
right.
Putting Kelly in and out the car
mm-hmm.
in her portable wheelchair. So that's taken away from even her having her power chair.
Right. To where she doesn't have the freedom that she needs to have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with transportation being in place now, she can actually bring her power chair home.
Right.
So you have to find comfortability and trust somewhere along the line. And if you're not okay with it, you have the right to stop it. Let me ask for another company to pick them up.
Let me ask you this, because I think this was Michael's concern too. And in reading this, I was actually heartbroken, because I went through a lot of this, even in Waynesboro. The program that I found was a Valley Program for Aging Services, which was a program that normally dealt with senior citizens. But when I talked to them, they were able to come pick me up, and they're dependable. But the problem was they ran from 8:30 to 3:40 in the afternoon, and a lot of things were happening during that time that I couldn't go to. Like my karate runs from 7 to 8. But the question I want to ask you, Miss Winnie, and being the parent of a disabled child, what does it take, and how do you realize for the moms out there and the people out there that are caregivers, because all Michael wants is honesty. and you mentioned this earlier, honesty is so important. How do you determine whether it's with Kelly's Choice or whether it's with, something that's happening with Kelly? How do you determine I'm tired, I need to find some help, and how do you address that?
That's a good question, DJ. Now let me share something. When I was a few years ago, some years ago, I quit my job, and I took a leap of faith, and I quit my job because I felt like my daughter was more important than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because she was under the care of an agency.
Right.
Coming to my home, they were sending people to my home. And one day I came home from work early because something just didn't settle right in my spirit.
Right.
And this was a whole week that it went on. And one day that Friday, I decided to leave work early. Of course, my managers and everything didn't agree with it, but I left anyway because something just wasn't right. It didn't feel right.
It didn't feel right. Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
I get home and Kelly was left home by herself. Come to find out, it was said that the girl that was there caring for Kelly had left to go pick her niece up from daycare. So because that thing wasn't settling right in my spirit for a while, that whole week, she been doing this for a while.
What? Oh my!
She's been doing it. So I made a decision after going through so many people to just stay home.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Caregiving is a hard job, even for people coming out. But then you have the best ones in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You have ones that really care for clients, that would really go above and beyond for clients. And then we've had that. But then you get those agencies that don't want to pay it. So you can have the best people, but then they're not getting paid.
And see part of that, and the whole agency thing is there are good agencies out there, but they're so hard to find because the agencies treat their people like crap.
That's right.
And you can't. In all of this, in Kelly's Choice Cares, in caring for the differently able, even in my situation, I have trouble getting my socks and shoes on. And I make it a point to ask my wife every week, and I try to ask her every day, is there anything special that I can do for you? When I was sick last week, my wife cared for me. She brought me ginger ale. She brought me stuff. I mean, she made sure that I was, because she knew I was sick. She didn't have to do it, but she took that role. And I try to ask her every day, is there something special that I could do for you? I'll go and get her flowers because it means a lot,
right,
to have someone in your corner. But I guess this is where it scares me, Miss Winnie, and y'all got to understand, I call Miss Winnie Mama Bear all the time. But to me, when you're starting to get tired, you got to let somebody know, because you can only go but so far.
Yes. And
if you don't take care of yourself and you burn out, how can you take care of the person that you're caring for?
That's true. Like I said today, when transportation pulled up, I was like, wow. Even though Corey was out there this morning, with me this morning, but I knew he wouldn't have been there this evening. Mm-hmm. So for these people to pull up today, that was like, wow. I was like, thank you, Lord, because I felt like at that moment, me taking Kelly back and forth for the past week, mm-hmm. man, that took I was able to breathe. I was, it just relieved me of so much.
Right.
And we got to know when to let go. We got to know when to step back. We got to know when to trust people. And again, like I said, even if you don't feel right with it or comfortable with it, you have all the right reasons to pull back where she's at, pull back the driver, pull back the company, pull back the transportation.
Right.
But you got to know when to just let go. You got to know when it's a burden on you. You got to know when it's strenuous on you. You got to know when it's tough and rough and you are just that tired.
One of the suggestions that I made to Michael, and this is why, I titled this, Do What You Say You're Going to Do. We talked a little bit about it even with transportation, is having that network of people. It's not just, you can't have just one. because eventually that one person is going to burn out. Everybody is eventually going to burn out. But the thing about it is, I think you just said it. You've got to be honest with yourself first.
Yeah.
Did they contact you when Kelly got to the school to day support to let you know she got there okay, or was it?
Now the funny thing about that, you said your question was, did they contact me to let me know that Kelly got the day support safe? No, they would not contact you. However, I followed them to the school, to the day support. I drove there. I drove there myself because I have to be comfortable with the situation totally.
Mm-hmm.
I was comfortable with her getting in the van. I was comfortable with the people that she did ride with. But for some reason in my mind, before I went to the store, I had to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I said to myself, I know they probably like, this mama she got to trust me. And I said, don't judge me now. I did a video. I said, don't judge me. Don't judge me because I followed the van to day support. Let me get there. Let me get totally there. And once I'm totally there, because I want to make sure, and I asked her, I said, do you have to make any stops before you take her to day support, or are you going straight to her day support? She said, no, ma'am. I went to her day support already and dropped off another individual, and then I came to get Kelly. So I'll be taking her straight to day support. I said, okay. But to make me really trust them and believe her word, because this happened before and that's why she was late in getting home,
Mm-hmm.
I followed it. I went there to make sure Kelly went straight to day support.
Now,
and to be honest with you, I'm going to be there this evening because I want to know what time she got on that bus, on that van, and I want to make sure that she's coming straight home instead of detouring when we're only 5 to 10 minutes away and going on a 30-minute away trip when we're right around the corner. Like literally, we're right around the corner.
Now,
I'm going to do that.
I want to mention something to you, Michael, and thank you for sending in this email because it was a great email and a great question. What Miss Winnie just did, she held the organization that she put in Kelly in her hands. She held them accountable, and I'm going to tell you why. Yes. She said, "Don't judge me because I followed them there." She did two things. Number one, she did take the lady's word because she allowed Kelly to get on the van, number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, see, I heard it. Mm-hmm, that's right. Number two, she followed them to make sure that Lord have mercy, her daughter is going on the safest route possible and getting there properly. Mm-hmm. That's number two. And number three, she also is going to be there this evening to follow them home to make sure the route goes smoothly. And for parents, that's smart because what you're doing there is you're alleviating parents and caregivers alike. What you're doing there is you're alleviating other stresses that otherwise are going to weigh on your mind, and you're going to say, Lord, have mercy, Jesus, I should have followed them all the way there because I don't know if they got there. Because you can call somebody and they can tell you she got there. Right. But that doesn't mean it's now I'm not saying this would happen, but it can. And in a way, Miss Winnie has basically alleviated all of the negatives and made it straight positive. And she may do that a couple of times to make sure, because one day can be great. Exactly. One day can be great, but if they do it 3 or 4 times, you're pretty sure that they're going to be dependable, and that's smart. Okay. I'm actually glad. I'm glad we got Miss Winnie's mic fixed so she could get this question in here because this was valuable, and I think a lot of parents feel like there's no way out. Right. They get smothered. They get, oh my God, I can't handle all of this. And right. I think that's that strenuous burden that you're talking about because to be truthful, no child is a burden. No person is a burden. They're gifts from God, is what they are. That's what they are. But to be honest, to look at it, as we close out the last 10 minutes of the show, people look at disabilities and as caregivers as angels because they are, because there's not enough of them, and it does take a very special person to be a caregiver because you have to have the heart for it. because being a caregiver to me is not a job. It's a lifestyle. Think about that now. Being a caregiver is not a job. It's a lifestyle. And the reason I say that is because there's so much involved, not just changing the person, not just helping the person in their chair, not just necessarily cooking their meals. It's the interaction with that person.
Mm-hmm.
Is that interaction real? Is it genuine? Because I tell you one thing about Kelly, and I'm so glad that I pulled this email out of the email bag. One thing about Kelly's interaction, we've mentioned before that her smile, the painting that the network mixer did of the artist Bono, Joshua Bono, did of Kelly was absolutely beautiful, and it is on the Kelly's Choice Inc. Facebook page. So guys, go check that out. It's beautiful. That to me, Kelly, when she is talking to a person, she brings her light to them. She brightens their day, even though they may not even realize it until Josh said, he dropped his paintbrush, and I remember the reaction. Kelly looked at him and said, "Oh, you dropped your paintbrush," and he stopped. And he said, "Man, she doesn't even know me." And right off the bat, she turned to help me out. And it's that soul, it's that love, it's that giving, that compassion that Kelly has, because the communication may not be the same, but right. when I talk to Kelly all the time, and Lord have mercy, let me tell you, she'll talk to me. Kelly will let me know what is on her mind. I think we as people have to bridge the gap between being afraid of talking to people because they look different than us, or they seem to be different than us. But when you talk to a person that is differently able than you are, you just might find out just how much you have in common with them. There is a great author that was at the network mixer, and Natalie, and I don't know her last name offhand. What was her last name, Miss Winnie? Natalie. Goodness, I know she wrote the book. She wrote the book.
Her name is Natalie Boone.
Natalie Boone, that's right. She wrote the book. People with disabilities are people too, and I got to tell you, from a standpoint of just enlightenment, when you meet a writer that has gone through it, and Miss Winnie talked about it a little bit earlier, she touched on it. Sometimes you got to go through it to really experience what the person is experiencing. You got to go through it. That's one thing about being a mom of a disabled child, is you live it every day. You understand every day. When her child hurts, she hurts. When Kelly hurts, Corey hurts, because that's a family. I touched a little bit on single parenting earlier. It's hard being a single parent. My mom was a single parent, raising 2 kids, working 3 jobs. Without our grandparents, God rest them, she wouldn't have been able to survive. But God provided and made a way. So real quick, as we close out the show, I do want to mention again, talking about caregiving and talking about all of this, we are going to have the Caregivers Gala November 16th. Guys, make sure that you're there. 6801 Bridge Parkway. Make sure that you guys are there. Make sure that you guys come out and support us. You can email me at thesportsminionradioshow@yahoo.com. You can make sure to contact me on Facebook. You can contact me on YouTube. Everything is there for you guys. Follow me on Twitter at the Sports Minion Radio Show. Please, at Minion Sports. Please make sure to keep tuning in. Please keep asking the questions. Thank y'all, everybody that tuned in today. I enjoyed doing the show today. We're going to have a great show next week. We're going to get you the information and the date on the back-to-school drive. Remember, Jack Dart's new studio has opened up. It's going to be opened up technically on the 5th of August. We've also, got the Tiger Martial Arts 6-week trial. Go check that out. You guys, I want to do one more thing before I leave the show. Guys, go check out Candy Sweet Dreams. I want to tell you right now, Miss Candace was a part of the network mixer. If you guys have not had a chance, go to Facebook and search Candy Sweet Dreams. She's got a lot of awesome stuff. She's had the business for over a year now. She does wonderful things, and boy, does she make some good food. So you guys go check her out, like her Facebook page, support, donate. It does take a village. And remember to smile at someone every day, because you never know who you may bless. This is the Sports Minion Radio Show. This is D to the J with the roll away, saying we will see you next week on the Sports Minion Radio Show. Take care, guys.